Hey everyone, before we start this video, I just want to say a very happy birthday to George Lucas, the man who literally made all of this possible, and without him, well, I wouldn't be here, and a lot of us wouldn't be enjoying this beautiful story that is going on for decades and decades and decades. With that being said, I gotta say that I really do enjoy this podcast that was brought to my attention by Danny, who directed the fan film. Now, this isn't a product placement, I'm not getting paid to promote these guys or anything like that, but I actually really enjoy this, and I think they did a really great job on it. But if you guys want to check it out, it's free, the link is down below. It just shows the story of George and Steven Spielberg during their youth and how they basically got started from the very, very beginning, kind of being almost no name to being this household name that they are today and being some of the most successful or the most successful directors and writers in movie history. And it's basically this podcast story brought to life, kind of like how I do my fan fictions and comics and like that, but it's immersive and fun. It's basically the story of George Lucas and Steven Spielberg and how they came to become, these iconic household names, and how he basically built Star Wars, how he built Episode 4 and the troubles he had to go through before that, and the trials and tribulations and everything that he had to deal with, the massive, massive stresses that he had to go through before actually making this universe possible in this galaxy far, far away. So if you guys want to check that out, I'm going to link them down below because I do believe in them. I think they're actually did a really great job in this. So enjoy that and enjoy the rest of this video. Have an awesome rest of your day.
We would be honored if you would join us.
Batteries. Sometimes the most annoying things in the world. It seems like the more our devices are capable of, the bigger or stronger the battery needs to be. The same was no different in Star Wars with lightsabers. There was a need for them to be charged, believe it or not. They used a diatium power cell that was unbelievably more advanced compared to our time today. However, it needed to be charged as well, just like any battery. The power process was long and boring, and therefore we rarely ever, if at all, read about it or see it in the books or comics or anything like that we know of. The old book called I, Jedi covers the story of Corran Horn, who seeks teaching from Luke Skywalker himself at his Jedi temple. He seeks Luke to own his latent skills from his dark side grandfather and find his missing wife. However, right here, taken from the visual dictionaries, we can see that lightsabers indeed have actual charging ports. Now, the thing was that lightsabers were unbelievably efficient, and the fastest way to drain your lightsaber power cell or battery was to keep using it. Cutting through things, deflecting blaster bolts, fighting, and even igniting it drained it to some extent. The best way to keep your battery lasting longer was to use it as little as possible. This is one reason we see Jedi and Sith using their sabers much more sparingly, if we're not going to assume it's, for lasting dramatic effect by the film writers. Now, don't get me wrong, lightsabers in Star Wars were super efficient, therefore recharging wasn't a very common occurrence. However, it did happen, and here is the source from the book I, Jedi from 1999. I clipped the discharge energy cell in place, then connected the leads to the recharging socket. I screwed the recharging socket into the bottom of the hilt, but didn't fasten on the handlebar's original butt cap that would protect it because I needed to charge the power cell for the very first time. I reached over and took the charging cord from the small transformer I'd borrowed from our tech bay and plugged the lightsaber in. With my fingers poised on the transformer button that would start the energy flowing, I drew in a deep breath and lowered myself into a trance. I knew that manipulating matter sufficiently to meld the part and forge the weapon would have been all but impossible for anyone but a Jedi Master like Yoda. But doing just that as part of the construction of a lightsaber had been studied and ritualized so even a student could manage it. It was very much a lost art, a link to a past that had been all but wiped out, and by performing it, I completed my inheritance of my Jedi legacy. I hit the button, allowing the slow trickle of energy to fill the battery. I opened myself to the Force, and with the hand I had touching the lightsaber's hilt, I bathed the lightsaber with the Force. As I did, so subtle transformations took place in the weapon. Elemental bonds shifted, allowing more and more energy to flow into the cell and throughout the weapon. I wasn't certain how the changes were being made, but I knew that at the time, as they were being made in the lightsaber, they were being made in me as well. The book goes on as he meditates on his lightsaber as it's being charged, so he's kind of helping it being charged as he meditates and speeding it up. Allowing the Force to flow fully through it, opening the channels up more for energy and connecting himself to it, he was able to charge his weapon, along with himself. He was later awoken from his meditation 2 days later. So the charging of a lightsaber can definitely take a while. style. It reminds me of Dragon Ball Z if we saw this in the films. Just imagine 2 days passing by and the character is just still sitting there meditating or charging up or whatever with their lightsaber plugged in. It would take absolutely forever. And that's no discredit to Dragon Ball Z. I grew up on that just as much as I did Star Wars. This was the case for Vader as well. His lightsaber in the visual dictionary, his hilt has a charging port, just like Qui-Gon's. So there we have it. Proof that lightsabers do indeed need to be charged. I'm sure many of you are surprised. I hope you enjoyed the info in today's video. Hit like if you did, and I will see you in the next one. Until then, remember, the Force will be with you, always.
Fulfill your destiny.